Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Tea and Crystals podcast. I am T.
And I'm Kristal.
Ladies and gentlemen, as always, we are so happy to have you all back with us for another episode of this here podcast. Welcome back. We took a break, Kristal. We took a little break for about a week. We didn't tell y'all. That's our fault. We had planned to tell y'all.
We did.
But we just said, Kristal, we had it was a lot going on.
It was. And I mean, technically, if you watched the last episode, we did tell you we were going to take time off. But,
Which is why it's important that you watch every single episode right when it drops, you know. And actually, shout out to y'all, because a lot of y'all do. Like, a lot of people actually watch our episodes when they drop.
Yeah.
Actually, this is something that I wanted to, before, you know, I ask you the question that I always got to ask you. We're just going to do a little precursor before we get there. I was wondering if the listeners had another preferred day for our podcast to drop. Other than Fridays. I wanted to know if there is another. I may post a poll on our Instagram as well, just to see as we move forward, is there another day that y'all would rather have this show? Because I was actually talking to my cousin, and he was saying, I had just talked to him for his birthday towards the end of last month. And he was saying, you know, that he really enjoyed the show. I didn't even know he listened, number one. He really enjoyed the show, and that it got him, you know, to and from his commute to work. And I have another friend of mine who mentioned that she listens to it at work. And I'm like, okay. And she saves the episodes from Friday until the next week so she can have them at work. So that's what started me to think, okay, do we need to release another day? So people have it like for the work week if they want to commute with it and whatever, if they don't want to carry it over the weekend, you know, just something to think about. So can y'all let us know if it's on your, don't mean that it's going to change.
Right.
Know it straight up, because Kristal, you know, our schedules and stuff, you know, it's set up the way it is for a reason. But we are willing to hear it. If y'all have another day of the week that y'all think the show should come out, let us know that.
Yeah,
so before we go,
that's interesting. Yeah, no, I'm saying that's interesting. Like a Monday or even a middle of the week, like a Wednesday, like that'd be. But it would be about our schedules, because when I'm filming, I work literally sometimes Monday through Friday, and so us filming on a weekend and then having it released that following Friday, it would just, to make sure that our episode doesn't end up dropping too far off from when we originally recorded.
Exactly.
It's about finding that sweet spot. But yeah, I'm interested to know if there's a better day that you guys would love it for it to drop. Definitely let us know.
We'll have a post-show meeting. About it and talk about it briefly, because you know I'm going to bed.
And I'm getting dinner. So
and you about to eat. So
mom and I are going out.
We letting y'all in on all the secrets, okay? Because our schedules, this is the only time that works, you know, for now. But before we go any further, get into all the things that are most important to the people who came here to hear this show, Kristal, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. I haven't been working as much. You know, we're starting to wrap up filming, and so when that happens, a lot of times some roles start to get cut down a little bit. And since I am an additional PA, the additionals tend to be one of the first groups that start to get cut. So instead of working every single day, I've started to work more like, I don't know, 2 to 3 times a week. And then as we get closer, I imagine that could possibly go down even more. I'm really, really hoping that because I was there for the very first day, that I could be there for the very last day at the very least. I don't know if that's going to be possible, but I hope. But yeah, other than that, it's been pretty good week. My nephew had his first soccer tournament, and their team ended up winning the tournament. So super proud of both of my nephews.
Congratulations.
Yep, because they were both in it. So I was super proud of them. And yeah, it's just Been hanging out, cooking on the grill with my mom and my brothers and all that stuff, and just enjoying the past couple of days.
Oh, what y'all put on the grill?
I think one day we did steaks, and then another day we did burgers.
Okay. You know, I don't eat no beef, so I'm like, well,
I
girl,
know,
I guess
I'm
I would have
like-
been hungry. What y'all got for the size?
I was about to say, yeah, you know, my mom, she loves steaks. And my brother is a big steak fan as well. And I won't lie, when it comes to my mom's steak, I don't know what it is, but I love my mom. When she makes steak, I love her seasoning. Everything's great. Because anytime I've gone to a restaurant, unless that steak is some sort of A5 certified $140 steak, it ain't for me.
I don't think I've ever really liked steak. And I've had some nice steaks, and I never liked them.
Let me tell you guys a little childhood secret. So growing up, like I said, my mother loved steak. Growing up, I would for me, it felt like we were having steak every other week. Or every other day. I'm sorry, every other day. When in reality, we were probably having it like once a week. But for me as a child, it was every other day. And I was tired of steak. And so at some point, I finally started telling my mom, I don't like steak. I don't like it. I just want a hot dog or a hamburger or something. So my mother, being the wonderful woman she is, instead of being like, you're going to eat what I cook, she's like, okay. So she would grill me a burger or a hot dog. And for pretty much most of my life, I grew up believing I genuinely did not like steak because of that decision. But then, you know, as I grew up and I tried different things, there were times where I would have steak. Like if I went to hibachi, I would always get the chicken and steak combo. Or if I got, you know, Mexican or something like that, I would get, you know, like a steak taco or something like that. There were instances where I preferred having the steak over like a chicken or a burger or something like that. But when it came to the actual whole steak, I would just say, no, I don't like steak. I mean, all the way up into my 20s, I was like, I don't like steak. I don't like steak. I don't like steak. And then one day my mom was just like, just please try this steak. Like, just let me cook you a steak. And I was like, fine. My mother likes her steak medium rare. I think that was also part of the problem, because I am not a medium rare person, and I didn't understand that either. So I think she was like, okay, I'll cook it a little bit longer. I think I'm somewhere between a medium and a medium well, depending on the thickness of it.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't like too much pink, but I can deal with a little bit. Because there are some people who are like, oh yeah, this is medium. And then I get into the middle of it. I'm like, no, this is not medium anymore. Yeah. The edges are medium. But when I get into that middle part, I don't like it when it's all, I don't. So she cooked me the steak, and I was like, this is actually really good. I really like this steak. So I was like, okay. I was like, well, maybe I do like steak. Maybe this is all this time I just was telling myself I didn't like it. So then I tried one from Outback. Nope, didn't like that. Then I tried one from Texas Roadhouse. Didn't like that either. I tried both of them a couple times. I think I went to Longhorn too. Nope, didn't like that steak there either. For some reason, I mean, it wasn't like as bad as I used to think it was. I mean, I could eat it, but I was like, I don't really enjoy this. Like, I'd rather have just something else. So I was like, well, maybe it's just my mom's steak I like. Then we went to this place local that had just opened up. For the first time ever, we had a legitimate restaurant that had the A5 Japanese Wagyu beef. At the time that it opened and we went, their most expensive was $140 or $160 steak, one of those. And it was for a special occasion, and I saved up money specifically for my mom to get the most expensive steak. And so she got it, and I tried it. Oh, man, that thing was like butter.
Whew. Yeah. People say that Wagyu is different.
So good. Worth every penny. I loved it so much. I was like, well, clearly, as I've learned in a lot of things in my life, I just have a very expensive palate. A very expensive taste. So I think when it comes to restaurants, unless it's a very, very expensive steak, I'm probably not going to like it. So I should probably get something else. or I just want my mom to make it. Something about the way mom makes it.
Yeah, sometimes it be because low-key I want to try it, but I already know that I can't. So I'm about to take your word for it. I need to try. I don't know if I've ever eaten anything that your mom makes, but I feel like your mama can cook. Because I always hear you talking about your mama cooking and stuff, and it should be sounding good. And I don't think I've ever had a plate at your house.
I was about to say, maybe not. And I will say, my mom is one of those people. Now, granted, I mean, she does enjoy cooking, but she's never been like she's always done cooking because she's, you know, for a long time. I mean, most of the time, she's the only one that really can cook. I mean, my brother can cook now, but my mom still is better than him. Sorry, Justin. But it's, I don't really enjoy cooking. I can if I have to. I'm fine with following directions. And there's been a few times where I found a dish where I was like, oh, I really want to try this. And I cooked it and it's come out fine, or it's come out way better than I expected. But I'm not a huge cook. So my mom does most of the cooking, but she is definitely one of those people where she'll just kind of like throw stuff together and be like, I don't know how this is going to taste. I did what I have. And I'm like, this is really good. This is amazing. Or she'll do a spin on things. Like my mom, she makes this thing called a chicken cordon bleu Villarino style.
Oh, I love a chicken cordon.
But it's like a twist. It's almost like an Italian twist. So it's, instead of like a ham and cheese, it's more like a pepperoni, salami, cheese, and then there's a white wine cream sauce that she puts on top.
You're about to make me mad because I'm hungry, and that sounds good as hell. Are you? Get off my line. Actually, thank you all for joining us for another episode. Hell yes, that sounds good.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh,
she's a really good.
My mouth is salivating. I can't even talk.
I think growing up, I always believed my mom should open up a restaurant. She was like, I don't want to do all that. I don't want to run a business. Exactly.
That's too much work. That's when you fall out of love with cooking.
But her pride and joy is her marinara sauce, her spaghetti sauce. She cooks it for 2 days. Which I've
heard you talk about before. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It takes 2 days to make. She always makes a big batch to freeze. And I don't think I've ever had anyone who has tried it who hasn't thought, yeah, this is probably one of the best spaghetti sauce that I've ever had. Yep.
My God.
So maybe the next time you guys come over, you come down this way. At the very least,
that marinara sauce.
I was about to say, at the very least, you should come over for spaghetti.
Yeah. I'm down for that.
Okay.
I want to give a disclaimer before we get into other things. For those of y'all who are watching the video portion of this podcast, I was not doing illicit drugs just then. My allergies have been whooping my ass for 2 straight days. I had to take an allergy medicine. But it is still seeping through on the surface level. So I'm having short little allergy attacks, if you will. So if y'all, I'm trying my best to mute when I sniffle. But if y'all see me go off the camera, or if I get silent for a moment, I'm trying to get my shit together.
He's just trying to make it through the episode.
For real. Because as y'all can hear, throat, eyes scratching, nose running. I'm going through it. Chop my head off, put it on the shelf until the morning. Is where I'm at right now. Kristal, I heard that you had something for us before we get into these stories today, though.
Yes, we're going to do one of our segments called the Kristal Queries. I got a couple of questions here to get to know us a little bit better. We won't do too much because we have quite a bit of stories to get to. And since we did you guys so wrong the last episode by not having a single story until 40 minutes into the episode, we are trying to do better this episode. Because we all know why you're really here. It's for those. It's for those stories. We get it.
Come on.
But in the meantime, we want you to kind of low key get to know us a little bit better without being too invasive.
Kristal does.
Which is why it's my queries. So
Yeah.
We're gonna get started. I know some of these like kind of answers, but I'm excited to hear some of these more in-depth things. And I
Oh,
will probably answer some of
girl.
these questions as well. So this first one. Have you ever had a ghostly encounter or an encounter you just can't explain?
You know, you ain't slick, Kristal. So I will tell this story on the podcast. So when I was in college, y'all, I went to a college that was 6.5 hours from my home. It was as damn near as far west in Virginia as you can go. Yes, you can drive 6.5 hours and still be within the state of Virginia. I went to school at a private college right on the border of Virginia and Tennessee. And when I say right on the border, I mean our school sat on the top of a hill because it was in the mountains. And at the bottom of the hill was the Virginia Tennessee line. And there was a main street down there. The town was called Bristol, Virginia. Look it up. And there's the double lines on that main street are the dividing line for the state. So they have little plaques on each side. My school was very, very old. It started as an all girls school. We talking, I don't know if it was early 1900s or the late 1800s. I cannot remember. It's been a long time since I've been at that school. So it was one main building that kind of had an attached building for administration and stuff in the front. Very, very pretty building. And there was a wing of the school that was closed. I think it was the east wing. I think the west wing was open for students to live in, but the west wing was closed, or at least a portion of it. So, we had heard about these ghosts and stuff. I had never experienced anything. It was a very, very creepy school at night. Just because shit creaked because everything was so old. So I did not like walking around by myself at night, but real G's move in silence like lasagna. I got where I had to go and did what I had to do, right? So I lived in another dorm when I first went to the school, which was a high rise. I moved out of there. That's a whole nother story that Kristal knows.
Yeah.
because my roommate tried me, and it was either he was gonna get thrown out the 6th floor window, or I was getting my own dorm room.
I'll make that another question.
Girl, not today. So I had moved into the west wing of that building. So one night my friends and I we all happened to be on the same floor. Our rooms was only a couple doors down from each other. It was great. Actually, all of us ended up moving out of that building into the east wing. So that just shows you. So we all went to go get pizza one night. And so we're walking. There's a parking lot that's down the hill. So we're walking up the hill. The school sits on top of the hill. We're walking. We have to walk past the administration building to get into the main building to get up into our rooms on the east wing, right? And so I'm walking, we talking, whatever. And I look up into the administration building. Now, mind you, it's an old building, so it's pretty tall, but I can still see in the window at an angle. And there are archways into each room in that building, right? So you can see through the room, but you can see in the hallway where the 3 archways meet. So I look in there, and it's a man standing like against the archway in like a Spanish conquistador outfit. Y'all remember that from history class? The ones with the helmets, they had the tall thing and they had the staffs with the pointy ends and stuff. With the armor and stuff. He's standing like looking straight ahead into the other side of the archway. And so like I freeze and I look away to my friends and I look back and he is gone. Like, and y'all, when I tell y'all I saw him just like I'm looking at Kristal. Clear as I still remember what he looked like, facial, everything. I still remember. So I turned to my friends and I was like, y'all, oh my God. Like, and they were like, what happened? I was like, y'all, I just saw something. Please. And I instantly started freaking. I'm like, y'all, please look in that window. Look in the window and tell me if y'all see anything. And they was like, because I couldn't look back in it. Because I was like, I'm not going crazy because I know I just saw that. And they were like, no, we don't see nothing. Instantly, I start freaking out. I call my mama. I'm like, mama, please. I just saw a ghost. I ain't never seen no shit like this before. Like, this is crazy. I didn't really believe in ghosts like talking about. Like, what is going on? She's like, calm down. Like, what is going on? Are you okay? Mind you, at this point, I didn't drink no nothing. I had never touched anything. The spiciest thing I had was a soda at this point. So she was concerned. She was like, what they done got my baby into up there at that goddamn college? They done gave him something unless he lost his fucking mind. So she calmed me down. So we did the research or whatever, because I'm like, that doesn't even make sense that I would see something like that here. Like, why is he here? So we did look up at the history. And it turns out that the Spanish conquistadors came through Virginia at that time. And they went on a campaign massacring Native Americans to clear the area. And it just made me freak out even more. Like, it was a map and it showed exactly the path that they took. And it came right through where our college was in the Bristol area. I lost my motherfucking marbles. And that's the only sighting that I've ever had. But when I tell y'all it shifted my mind. Like, I have never, and I can still see him to this day.
I kind of had an encounter. I didn't see anything, but when we worked at that place that shall not be named, this is actually before you came there. Because this is one of my first couple months there. I was still a host, and one of our duties as a host, especially if you were the last host for the night, is that you had to go around all the rooms and put all the candlelight out, because we had real candlelight. There was really no actual lighting. Because we worked in a period establishment.
Restaurant, yeah.
Yeah. And so it was towards the end of the night. I started off on one side of the building, and I was dousing out all the candles with my little wet rag that I had. And when you go into one of the rooms, you're going into another room, there's a door that is off to your right. And on that door, it just leads to some steps that goes down into our basement that is also for seating. And there are 2 holes at the bottom of the doors, so you can hear anyone who's going up and down those steps. And at night, it was just me and my closing manager at the time. We'll just call him A. And it was just me and him. Now, I knew he was in our pantry in the back corner area, because he was doing something on the computer or something like that. So I knew he was there. Nobody else was in this building with us. But I remember walking into this room, and I could see, like, I didn't fully look over to the door, but I could see the door from my peripheral, and it was closed. I walked literally 2 steps to the first table and doused the candle. And when I turned around, that door was completely open and was closing. Nobody was down those steps. No one I had come from behind me. I didn't feel a wind shift, nothing. I immediately started yelling for A, and he comes bursting around the corner like, what's wrong? I said, nope, absolutely not. I was like, I'm going home. I told him what happened. And he looks like a grumpy old man. He wasn't really all that grumpy, but he kind of was at the same time. And he was just like, kind of like, oh, okay, all right, you can go home, fine, whatever. But that was my only encounter. It never happened again. I never heard of anyone else having that situation.
I literally get chills, because when I too was a host, I hated that area. Closing at night, I will always start from there and work my way back to the door, because I could not. Something about that area just gave me like the heebie-jeeb. Going into that last room, not the last one, but the last bigger room.
Yep.
something about that room, like somebody was in there
Mhm.
in the evening time. Somebody was making their bed in their room because they was ready to go night night, and they was ready for you to get the fuck up out of there.
Yes.
Because it was
So,
people who would tell stories about them getting
mhm.
pushed out that room and everything else. And
Yeah.
if you know the history of that room, it makes sense.
Yep.
You know?
I agree with
Anyway,
you.
I'm giving away too much
Okay.
tea. They about to find out what we were.
I know, right? All right. What's something you like that you only enjoy a certain way, even if it makes no sense to anyone else?
That I only enjoy. I mean, there's a couple things that I enjoy, quote unquote, weird way.
Mm-hmm.
Reese's, I love them in the freezer. I think that's pretty common though. I think a lot of people enjoy
Mm-hmm.
Reese's. I like I don't know if there's anything weird. I like sardines and mustard.
Eh,
I don't know.
okay.
I don't know if that's weird.
Yeah, a little
Why
bit.
do you make that face?
I mean, I was with you with the sardines a little bit. I mean, I'm not a big fish person anyways, but but then you said mustard. I was like, oh.
Yeah, they come that way. You can get them in a can in mustard. It's really good.
Oh, well, okay. As someone who doesn't really eat fish, if it comes that way, then I guess it's not that weird. But for me, that sounds weird as fuck. But okay.
Yeah.
For me, one of my favorite ice cream flavors is mint chocolate chip, but it has to be green. If you give me
I thought that was
a
only
mint,
way it came.
No, there's ice cream out there that's mint chocolate chip, but it's white.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I did not know that.
No, that's not real mint chocolate chip.
Yeah.
Nope. I will only have it if it's green. If you try to give me a white mint chocolate chip, it's not real. It's not the real thing.
Yeah, I don't. That ain't. Mm-mm.
A mint leaf is green. My ice cream must be green. I don't care if it's artificially dyed that way. I want it green.
I did not know that mint chocolate chip came white until you just told me. Nope. I thought it was always green. That's also because I don't like mint chocolate chip. But that's neither here nor there.
Well, we can't all have good taste. What is something you have learned that blew your mind?
That mint chocolate chip is not all green. Girl, I did not know that. I didn't know that. Something that I learned that blew my mind. I feel like there's a lot of things, small things that I've learned that have kind of shocked me. Mm-hmm. Actually, something which, I mean, a lot of people probably know, but something I was actually discussing today is that dinosaurs, the colors that y'all see, are just made up. Like the illustrations and the statues and stuff that y'all see of dinosaurs, they don't know what color them dinosaurs were. They don't even know the texture of their skin. The texture of a dinosaur's skin is only a guess that's made from the imprints that they make in the ground.
Right.
They don't even know if the bitches have fur or not. Go look it up. I ain't lying.
Wouldn't that be interesting if one day, like, there's a DNA or something that they're able to clone and it comes out looking like a big fuzzy bear? Like T-Rex is a bear, essentially.
Yep, it's a bear. Exactly.
It's just an oversized bear.
Yep. Yeah. So I don't know if but that was something when I first learned it, when I was a kid. Yeah. I was like, you just made that up. Oh. Like, I was really hype. I thought dinosaurs look like that. Right. So when y'all take y'all kids to the dinosaur parks and different things, where they got the little dinosaur statues, make sure you tell your children, this is not what them hoes look like.
Like, maybe they're just really oversized. Or can you imagine if they have, how people put like googly eyes on everything? Like, maybe they had eyes like that. I saw. Yeah. That's funny to me. Okay. For me, it actually is for me, more recently, the only thing I think of is actually when it comes to my job in film and television. I didn't realize how much different, you know, when you first start in film and television, they tell you, oh, it's going to be really long days. It can be anywhere from 12 to like 16 plus hours. And you think it's, you know, you hear horror stories of people who are like, oh yeah, it took forever to shoot this scene. Like we had to do this, like it took 100 takes to get this right. And you're just like, God, can you imagine like 100 takes doing this 100 times because it's just not right. But the reality of it is that a lot of times, it's not for everything, but for a lot of times, what takes such a long time is actually just the setup. It's the lighting and the shadowing and all that stuff. Like getting all of that exactly where you want it to be is what takes a long time. And the actual filming of the scene is way shorter than you think. Like I'm kind of exaggerating a little bit in this instance. I've never like timed or anything, but for instance, an example is like it could take anywhere between, you know, it could take 30, 40, an hour long to set up for the scene. And then you actually start to shoot the scene. And then it's like 3 minutes later, after like 2 or 3 takes, they're like, okay, great, we're moving on.
Yeah.
and we're setting up to do something else. I think when I first started in the industry, that's something that blew my mind. I remember we did a scene on World Beyond, Walking Dead World Beyond. It was this action scene. I swear to God, it took like 3 days to film. And if you watch the episode, I want to take, you see it like for like 30 seconds on the screen because everything's happening at the same time. You know, oh, this person is rolling and grabbing the gun and they're shooting and then they're doing this and you're seeing this and that. And then we're on to the next part of the scene and we're moving on in the episode. And I'm thinking, you look at that scene, you're like, God, that took 3 days to film.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So it's crazy how much time things actually take versus what you actually see. That's something that blew my mind.
Yeah.
But
and
yeah,
the stories that you have told me behind the scenes of like how the productions and stuff work does blow my mind. Like there's a lot of small details that I just never ever thought about.
Yeah, it still blows my mind every time I learn new things. But yeah, I mean, I do have more questions, but I will save that for another Kristal Queries because we're gonna go and move on to our stories.
We show is. I have the first story.
Yes, starting.
Are you
with
ready
T.
to get into it?
I am. I'm ready to get into it.
All right. This one comes from, of course, Reddit by the way of the subreddit r/am I the asshole, and this is entitled "Am I the asshole for tricking my brother into selling me his half of our childhood home, then demolishing it?" Right.
Oh my God.
Girl, I said the same thing when I read that title. My mouth literally dropped. You ready for this? Here we go.
Yeah.
My mom and dad divorced when I was young. My brother loved the fact that our mom had no rules for him, so he went with her. I abided by the custody agreement because I had no choice in the matter. My mom loves us both, but she dotes on my brother like he farts perfume. I love that. I love that. My dad kept the house. He had to buy my mom out. It was an old house built in 1953. It had old wiring and was really less than suitable for modern life. What it did have, though, was a huge yard that was great growing up. My dad passed away during COVID. He left everything equally between my brother and I. I wanted the house. I told my brother that we should tear it down and put in infill housing like the neighborhood is zoned for. He just wanted money. I bought out his half of the house at market value. It was sold as a tear down. He took the money and bought a car and went on a vacation. He still has money left. Then I had the house demolished and built as a fourplex. Each unit has 3 bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms, a small yard, and a garage. I know that's right, girl. Where is this at? Because I'm trying to, okay. I kept one unit for myself and rent each of the other units for $2,000 a month. My mortgage is $1,800 a month for the entire thing. So basically, I live free and bank $4,000 a month. I need paperwork on that. How do you have this whole development and only paying $1,800 a month in mortgage? But anyway, you must be paying that from like here until, the casket. My brother is pissed that I didn't give him a unit to live in for him since it was his home too. I actually offered to sell him one at cost, and he said no. I'm lost. I offered him partnership. I paid a fair price. I offered to sell him a unit. I did everything to try and be fair. He thinks I tricked him because I get free money every month. Free is in quotes. Our mom said she would be cutting me out of her will and giving everything to him if I didn't give him a unit or the income from one. I agreed that was fair and said that I would no longer feel the need to contribute to her upkeep or retirement when the time came. Am I am being bombarded by the two of them, but I took the risks. I took on the debt. This is my money now. Am I the asshole?
No, I don't think so. I think if you say what you did, if you explain, if you really tried to do all the partnership and all that stuff and you explained it and everything like that, then I'm going to say no, not the asshole. Although me personally, I don't even know if it sounded like you really even wanted to be in a partnership with this person, your brother. But I mean, he's the one. Ultimately, nobody forced him to sell his half of it. He saw dollar signs right then and there. And he's the one who made the bad business deal. I mean, he wasn't able to see far enough into the future the potential that you could see. And again, you actually offered to sell him a unit. So if he was living somewhere else, that's potentially money that he could have been bringing in for himself, depending on how much where he was living was at. Again, I also want to know like where you're staying at, where your bill is only $1,800 a month, and
That's what I'm saying.
I get it. Like, I get it. You're making money in bank, but like as a renter, I'm like, damn, like it's hard enough out here. $2,000 a month. Like, I really hope these units are nice because me personally, I don't know if I could be like that.
But I'm trying to figure out, how is your mortgage only $1,800 a month?
Yeah.
Because she said each one of these places that she's renting has 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, a garage, and a yard.
Yeah, I don't know how.
What kind of mortgage is that? That sounds very cheap.
Yeah,
$1,800
for the whole thing.
For the whole thing is all you paying,
right?
And you built it from the ground up, brand new. That don't make sense to me.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me either. But even regardless of all that, like, did you tell your brother this? Like, how is he knowing your financials? Because as an outsider, I would think you would owe a lot of money. Like your mortgage would also be really expensive. So how does he realize that you're making more money than you're spending for yourself, if that makes sense? Like, did you tell him, oh, well, my mortgage is only $1,800 a month? Because that's, I don't know, like maybe that's your fault that you did something like that. Like, you could have told him, oh man, it's really expensive to run this, maybe not hyped it up as much as you did. I don't know. But I mean, ultimately, yeah, I mean, he's the one who, you told him what you were trying to do, and you told him, I would hope you told him the value that could be had here, and he's the one who tried to just wanted to be satisfied right then and there with whatever money he could get. And as for your mom, I mean, that's fair too. If she doesn't want to put you in the will, that's her prerogative. But it seems like she is favoring one of her kids. So if you want to sit there and say, well, then if I'm not going to be in the will, then I'm not going to help you with upkeep. Again, I don't know if I would have done all that. Like, because it sounds just like she's putting a stipulation on things. You're doing the same thing. And it's me personally, I would have just been like, oh, okay, fine. I'm making more money than he is. I'm not going to need whatever it is you're putting in your will for myself. Go do it. I don't think I would have completely kind of cut my mom off from that, or my parents off, whatever parent it is for. I wouldn't be cutting off my parent completely like that. I'd probably still help them if they need help later on in life and all this stuff. But I guess ultimately not the asshole.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I do agree with you, but low key, I could see that she set up this situation because I don't know how much information she gave the brother when she made the proposal
Yeah.
for the idea, or if he realized how low her mortgage was going to be, because that is a suspiciously low mortgage.
And I'm confused about why he knows about it now. Like when everything is said and done, why were
True.
you telling him?
Why is he
Well,
privy to the?
I only have to pay this much and I'm charging this much. So I'm like, why does he know that enough to be upset about it?
And I'm just looking. I just looked up how much is a mortgage. How much is a monthly payment on $1 million mortgage, right?
Mm-hmm.
And at 6%, it's $6,000 a month for a 30-year term.
Mm.
Somebody ain't doing the math right. Where is it?
I mean,
how are you only paying $1,800?
Maybe when, I mean, again, I don't know about $1,800 still, but I mean, we've gone through a period of time where there was especially was it during COVID times where interest rates were super, super low. I think I know some people that
Now, that is
refinanced
true.
and now their percentage was only like 2% or 3% or something like that.
Now, that is true.
So maybe during
But
that
I'm thinking
time,
about the fact that she demolished what was on the land and built something brand new.
right?
I mean,
But
unless you had money that she was paying shit off rip, then
and that's us assuming this is in the US. Maybe she's in an area where that amount of money is equivalent to what we're thinking about.
Now that is true.
Yeah.
Now that it is true.
So
Yeah. But to play devil's advocate, I do think it's possible that she may have tricked him. I do think it's possible that she knew what the outcome of it was, what it is now, but she didn't share that with him. She just shared with him, we can make a little money, if we do this and that and this and that and that. And he was like, that's a lot of shit to do. I want my money now. Like, let's just get rid of it and not knowing that she was set herself up for success. So I think it could be perceived as being a little shady the way you went about it,
Right.
But at the end of the day, you did make him the offers. And I think it was fair to offer him to buy one, if he wanted it that bad, because at this point you gave up your stake in the house, whatever. So yeah, overall, not the asshole.
Okay, so now we're moving on to my story. All right, so this is from the Relationship Advice Forum. So this one says, my husband won't consider being sterilized. He wants me to do it instead. Is this fair? Me, 32 female, and my other half, 37 male, just had a baby this week. We've been together for 11 years now, and this baby is our second child. In fairness, I'm medically incapable of having more children to term. I can physically get pregnant, but I can't give birth again. We decided that we were okay with 2 kids and that this would be our last. My doctor asked me a few weeks ago whether I wanted to be sterilized, as they'd be opening me up anyway during a C-section. My husband and I talked this over, and he said that it was a good idea. I was hesitant, but I think just for practical reasons, sterilization was for the best. I agreed, and we signed off on sterilization. However, due to the previously mentioned medical issue, I started bleeding at 37 weeks, and my baby had to be born on an emergency basis. During an emergency C-section, they do not perform sterilization, as it's done for life-saving reasons. The doctor made it clear to me afterwards that I would need to essentially triple up on contraceptive measures until I could get the surgery done, which may be a very long wait. Sterilization during C-section is quite a lot better at preventing pregnancies, as the one where you get just the sterilization surgery alone is a keyhole surgery. It has a higher rate of ectopic pregnancies. The thought hadn't crossed my mind, but my husband's grandmother was visiting and she said, OP has given you 2 children. She's had major surgery for you twice now. Why don't you get the sterilization surgery? The midwife was present during this and spoke about how much faster it could be done for men than women and how I've had quite invasive surgeries and another, even if minor surgery, I would be looking at a much longer recovery time than most. In total, I've had major surgery on my abdomen area 6 times throughout my life. My husband said there's no way he's having sterilization surgery. He didn't even want to discuss it. However, he still wanted to discuss me having the surgery and still wanted me to have the surgery. He kept saying that it's different for a man. I feel like he's not being fair, especially when I've had to be cut open twice already for our kids. I spend the pregnancies with hypermesis gravidarum. Sorry, I didn't look that up. Hypermesis gravidarum, I think is what it says.
Girl, I don't know what that is. You know that we had that something like that before with another pregnancy, and it was
right. So 9 months of dehydration caused by being unable to go 30 minutes without vomiting. I don't understand why he won't even talk about it, but I'm also worried that he doesn't want to do it because he wants to have a fallback card in his pocket in case we separate so that he can have kids with another woman. I don't know whether I'm being inconsiderate since technically it is me who shouldn't get pregnant, not him. Part of me wishes that we could go through this together, though. I'm really confused by this.
Listen here to me. I ain't gonna hold you. I'm with your husband. I'm sorry. It is. Listen, this is gonna be a controversial opinion. Girl, I get it. Now, I don't think he should be he should be pressuring you to get the surgery, right? Because that ain't up to him. That's your body. You do what you want with your body. But this mine, and I'm gonna do what I want with mine, right? And you ain't finna guilt you, my mama, your mama, whoever the hell, ain't finna guilt me into getting no goddamn snip and tuck that I don't want to get. Now, if that means that we got to put what they call it, IUD, is it the bomb? Mm-hmm. Is IUD? Okay. Mm-hmm. I thought the IUD was a bomb. Lord Jesus. Isn't the IUD a bomb too? Lord. We gonna have to get the whoever stick that up in you, just stick that up in you. We got to put you on them pills if that's possible to be on at the same time. We got to put a condom on. I'm gonna have to put hot sauce in the condom. Whatever I got to do to make sure that you don't end up pregnant. But one thing I ain't gonna do is get sterilized. I'm a man at the end of the day, right? This is part of being a man. I'm sorry. The cards won't dealt for me like they was dealt for you, girl. I ain't gonna go too far. I'm not gonna force you to get sterilized because of the way shit went down. You shouldn't be forced to get no surgery, especially if it's risky. How and ever. You're not gonna make me get one either. I'm sorry. We don't need to have no more kids. But there's other things we can do to get around that. And that's just the end of it. If I don't want to get sterilized, I'm not finna get sterilized. Just like you don't want to get sterilized, you ain't gonna get sterilized. That's the end point blank and the period for me. What say you, Kristal?
I'm going to kind of agree with you. I agree that while he definitely should not be pressuring you to be sterilized, you shouldn't be pressuring him to sterilize. And if this is a concern when it comes to these ectopic pregnancy and stuff like that, and neither one of you are willing to, compromise on that, that's a problem. That's a real problem. Because unless you guys are just not going to be having sex, that's always going to be a risk regardless of what you do. So that's something that that is something you have to consider. You've got to consider if you have decisions you have to make, but with that being said, again, you're talking about a lot of things the woman is having to sacrifice in this. because even without doing the actual surgery, there have been so many studies that the IUD, the pills, the shots, women are not meant to be on these things for long periods of time. And even when they're not on them for long periods of time, each one of these things causes so many problems for women. I mean, having that IUD in, it can be as simple as, it causes us to, gain weight or have bad reactions to it. I mean, I've never been on it myself personally, so I don't know the full thing, but I know that they're not always the safest options. They're just the easiest. And there's always contraceptive more towards women. I mean, for men, it's really just the two. It's either, the condom or it's the sterilization. The reason why I'm not really for this guy is because, and it could just be the way she's writing it, but it's giving like I'm not thinking about all the things my wife has to go through in order for her for us to not be pregnant versus anything else, any other options. Right. I mean, at the end of the day, again, this isn't guaranteed, but it is said that with men, it is reversible. It's not guaranteed. Sometimes they're not, but it is technically reversible. And I think there's one guy who actually commented, he said he did it. He said it took 30 minutes and he just had to spend a day with a bag of peas, cold peas on his junk. And then he was good.
Look, but I'm
just saying what he's saying, but
to lose a piece.
He's talking about she has to have surgery again, where it's going to take weeks for her to recover. He's not. He wants her to get sterilized.
I said she ain't got to do it if she don't want to.
Right.
Let's think about it this way, right? Let's think about it this way. If they end up getting a divorce, whatever, breaking up, whatever, and she go on to another man. What you gonna do then, girl?
Right.
You gonna ask that man to get sterilized too?
Right. I'm not saying
like,
that.
What's up?
But she's also saying that it feels like if he's doing it because he wants to be able to possibly have kids later.
And if he is, bitch, that's his business.
But it's also like you're basically saying, oh, okay, so I don't think this is gonna work out, and I want to be able to have kids with another woman. Like, that's why I want you to have the sterilization.
That may not be the reason why, but it could be a consideration,
right?
Because don't nobody know what's gonna happen,
right?
So say, like, for example, Neo, the singer, convinced his wife to have a surgery so she couldn't have no more kids, and ended up leaving her right after that and went and had kids with another woman.
Right.
So you reverse the roles on that. She can't have no more kids. She out the game. So you finna take me out the game with you, girl?
But like, you forced me to do it in the first place.
What if I decide down the line, oh, you know what? I want to have more kids. This ain't gonna work out.
Well, at least with the guy, they might have the option
off the table.
No, not completely, because for guys, it can be reversible. It's not reversible
but that don't mean
it's still an option though. With a woman, once you sterilize her,
she can't have no more kids. Period.
But she's saying that he's
option is off the table for her.
But it's the fact that he's only considering sterilization with her. He's saying, I want you to get sterilized, period. He's not saying, well, maybe we can do. He's saying, I want you to get sterilized. I get what you're saying.
But I was coming from the point that you were saying that the other options aren't really options because they're also dangerous too, and as well.
They are, but that's a conversation between the two people.
Shit, girl, are we going to weigh that against taking that man out the game?
But you're not completely taking him out the game because it can be reversible for them.
But whereas if a woman does it, though.
but it's still a possibility. Whereas with the women, there is no possibility. That's an option you guys have to weigh. That's an option the couple will have to weigh. I'm not saying it is right for either one. I'm just saying you have to include that in the possibilities. I gotta lay
this out for you, right? For this situation, because I'm applying it to this situation.
with the man, with the
right?
woman and the man.
With this specific man and this specific woman. That's where I'm coming from, right? Because you saying, yeah, it's a possibility for the man, but it's also a possibility for the woman. But for her,
No,
it's not.
It's not a possibility. I'm saying,
that's what I'm saying. For her, it's not anyway.
Right.
If she have the sterilization or not, she can't have no kids anyway.
I got you. But it's the fact that he's insisting she does it. In this situation.
That's why I said he can't be insisting that she get it.
I know.
He can't be
We're with each other on that. We're with each other on that.
Yeah.
But if we're not talking about this couple, if we're just talking about two people, neither. Okay. I'm saying, like, if you're going to weigh all the options, you have to weigh the option that for the man, he can possibly get it reversed. Whereas the woman, she's never going to get it reversed. And if she can have kids later, you got to have that conversation. You have to bring up the fact that for men, that it could be a possibility where.
Now I'm with you 100%. I was in them. This was between them two. Now, totally, if it's just a man who is capable of having kids and a woman who is capable of having kids and bringing it to term, that man can't ask her to get no sterilization, because of the situation like I laid out with Neo, where all of a sudden you do it, now you fuck, and this man then moved on.
Exactly, and that's,
you know what I'm saying.
And even though for her it's not a possibility,
different.
I think she's feeling like she's feeling like, oh, he's already got one foot out the door,
right?
Because
but that may not necessarily be the case. It's like, at the end of the day, I'm a man, and that's as crazy as it sounds, it really is part of being a man. It really is. It's just as important as it is for women to be able to carry a child and bring that child to term. Like, it's important to men to be able to, for lack of a better term, lay the seed.
I mean, I guess.
And if he moves on, if something happens and he moves on with his life, for him to be potentially taken off the table as an option is a wild proposition. Just as for her, it is a wild proposition because of the situation that she's in. Like, I understand why both of them don't want to do it, but he dead ass wrong for pressuring her.
Yeah.
Because if she was pressuring him, she would be dead ass wrong.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
No, I agree with that.
So for me, for the two of them, it's only one way for y'all to figure this out, and that's some form of contraception.
Yeah.
Whether that man putting on that condom, whether he figuring out something to do, whether he, doing an old pull out and you know what I'm saying?
It's
what Victoria Monet said. She said, land it like a plane on my back if you can't hold it.
Yes.
Okay.
But it's a delicate topic, and it's definitely something where it can feel and seem like you're only thinking of yourself and you're not thinking of all the things that they have to go through with any of the contraceptives. Because for guys, I mean, unless you're allergic to the latex, putting on a condom doesn't really hurt you in any way. But every form of contraceptive for a woman is invasive in some way. And a lot of women, they don't react well to it. So, and unfortunately, guys will leave women for that very reason. And so it's like, it's a whole other topic.
I do think it's a little fair to compare the two, because there is no option. There is no other option for men.
Right.
Like, the burden is on fertile women. It just, like, we don't live in another reality where there is an option for the man to do anything other than to put on a condom or not have sex.
Right.
Like, that's literally the two other options, or like we discussed, get sterilized. But realistically, what man is going to go and get sterilized with the potential for him to never have kids again?
I mean, I guess it just depends on where the guy is at in life. Like, if he really doesn't want to have kids, if he really doesn't want to have any more kids, then that should be a viable option put on the table where the guy gets the sterilization, because especially for the woman who has had this many surgeries on her abdomen And it's even, they're saying that this is a risk for her, because even if she gets the sterilization, it's apparently not as effective as if she had gotten it during the C-section. Right. So that's another risk to add on to it. I get what you're saying. There is no, I mean, unfortunately, we do live in a world where they don't make contraceptives for men other than the condoms. They don't think about that. It's always, the burden is on the woman. But I think it's, those questions have to be answered before you can't really choose one side or the other. I mean, at the end of the day, it's where you guys are at in life. It sucks for a woman. It's a terrible feeling, I'm sure, to not have the same options as your husband. So if something, it probably for her at this time, because she just had the baby, or she was still, she just had the baby. Yeah, so she's got all these hormones, all these feelings, and now they're talking about the sterilization. I'm sure for her, it does look like he has one foot out the door, and he wants to be able to have kids with another woman. Like, it's not even like, oh, if things don't work out with us. No, he just wants to have kids with another woman one day. That's probably what her thought is at, and emotionally, that's where she's coming from. But I'm just saying, when this topic comes out, for both people to be sensitive towards your partner, because it's an emotional topic, as we have shown you guys.
Because I didn't realize that we was arguing in the same arena, but on two sides of the fence. Like, I thought we was still over here with these.
He's like, I gotta protect my guys, and I'm like, I gotta defend my ladies. I have no kids. I've never been pregnant. I've never been in this situation. I don't know what it's like to be on birth control, but I'm going to defend it.
But I think you hit the nail on the head, honestly, as far as him having a desire to have more children, because I do think that's where it probably stems from. Because I mean, at the end of the day, that the only thing it's tied to is having children. Because I think once you get sterilized, you can still produce. And
I think so. Like I said, for guys, one thing, like I said, it is potentially reversible, but I also think it's also not 100%. Like, there's something that still could go wrong, something that could, I don't know. I've never looked it up or anything like that.
I don't know, from what I heard, it's pretty.
Is it 100%? Okay.
I know it's 100%, but it's.
I know it's pretty effective, but I don't know. I don't know if it's like there's ever been instances where it's like, oh no, he's had a sterilization and someone's still gotten pregnant from him. I don't know.
People refer to it as the snip.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm like, I don't know.
I've never actually like looked up like what what it is or whatever it's like.
Let's see.
Okay, are we gonna do one more story?
Sure, if you want to. We are running up on
the thing. Do you have a short story? Or do you have a long story?
Hold on. Let me just read what I found on Google real quick about male sterilization, right? So it says, vasectomy is a form of male birth control that cuts the supply of sperm to your semen. I'm a male, and I didn't know that was two different things. I didn't know that was two different things. I thought it was the same thing. I thought they were interchangeable. It said it's done by cutting and sealing the tubes that carry sperm. Vasectomy has a low risk of problems and is usually performed as an outpatient, blah, 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 blah. Anyway. So, okay, because I knew you were snipping something. Let me see. Is a vasectomy reversible? It says almost all vasectomies can be reversed. However, this doesn't guarantee success in conceiving a child. Vasectomy reversal can be attempted if several years have passed from the original vasectomy, but the longer it has been, the less likely it is that the reversal will work. So, okay. That's wild. Yeah. Hell no. Now I gotta do some research. Difference between semen and sperm. Because, bitch, I thought it was the same shit. I ain't gonna lie to you.
You're gonna have to do that on your own time, okay? Because
Oh
we gotta
yeah,
get
yeah. I
through
ain't gonna do
this.
that on the podcast. Yeah.
All right. So do you
Okay.
have a short story or do you have a long story?
Ooh, I can have a short one if you need one.
I was about to say mine's like it's kind of about the same size as the last, maybe a little bit smaller.
Well, go ahead with yours.
Okay. So we're gonna slip one more in here. All right. This one says, "Am I the asshole for taking one of my husband's cheeseburgers?" So.
What?
I know, right? Okay. My husband and I have 3 sons. Last Saturday, he took them out to run errands while I stayed home to do housework. They went to McDonald's on the way home and brought food back for me. I told them to get me a 10-piece chicken nuggets and a medium fries. Apparently, the boys were still hungry in the car after eating their meals and asked my husband if they could have some of my food. He said they could have a couple of nuggets and a few fries. His reasoning was that I rarely finish my whole order, which is true. I usually eat 7 to 8 nuggets and most of my fries. Well, they each took 2 nuggets and a few fries, which means that what was handed to me for lunch was 4 nuggets and about a fourth of the container of fries. My husband has this habit of buying himself 3 extra cheeseburgers, the little thin ones, when he goes to McDonald's so that he can eat them for breakfast the next day. He puts them in the waffle iron to reheat them. He swears it's his favorite breakfast. He's a weirdo. Anyway, knowing he had already eaten his full McDonald's lunch and he still had those cheeseburgers, I asked for one so I could have a full lunch. He said no because he needs them for breakfast. Here's where I might be the asshole. I took one and ate it anyways. I was hungry and annoyed that my food was eaten, and it didn't make sense to me that he would deny me a full lunch so that he could have breakfast. He still has 2 cheeseburgers for breakfast. He can have an egg with them or something if it's not enough food. He got mad that I ate his cheeseburger and doesn't think it's the same as him letting the kids eat my food because he didn't realize they took that much, so he didn't intend to upset me. Whereas I knew I was upsetting him when I took the cheeseburger. He thinks I could have just eaten leftovers or something, but like he could do that too and should since he gave my food away. Am I the asshole here? He thinks I am because I took his food after he said no, but I was not given the opportunity to say no before he let the kids take my food. So it's not a fair comparison.
Listen here to me, you big back bitch. I'm you know what, you hungry man, raggedy mother. He done made me so mad. First of all, the fact that you eating a McDonald's burger for breakfast is outrageous.
Mm-hmm.
Outrageous, sir. And the fact that you buying them 3 at a time, 3 at a I start to call the police. Because this is a crime against humanity. And the fact that I have to calm down. Because this shit pissed me off. Kristal, for you to come home with a piece of my plate, right? You done came home with collectively a fourth. I was about to give you a third. You came home with a fourth of what I asked for. And you gave it to them kids back there. You could have bought them something extra. This ain't the first time you've been through this with them. Why would you why wouldn't I'm trying to be nice. Kristal. There's so many words I want to use that I can't. Why would your inflatable 2-main built ass not give them one of your breakfast burgers? Who the fuck eat a McDonald's burger for breakfast? McDonald's don't even serve burgers for breakfast. You raggedy, hot. Listen here. You in my living room built like a minivan, sitting on my couch, bending that bitch in half. Got the nerve to be mad at me because I went in there and got one of your breakfast burgers, bitch. Oh, you ain't never got to worry about sniffing no coochie. You ain't never gonna see this. You ain't never getting a taste of this again in your fucking life. Gonna get mad at me talking about something I was spiteful. because I did it on purpose and you were just trying to feed the kid. Girl, fuck them kids. I was hungry. I was ready to eat. You know, the divorce papers would be on the table in the morning. Rocket Lawyer logging in. Sponsor our podcast. He didn't piss me off. If I went to bed hungry, Kristal, he would rue the day. He would rue the day he let me go to bed hungry, and I wouldn't eat no snacks or nothing because I want to remember what it felt like. When I wake up the next morning and I'm hovering over you with the kitchen knife and my hand is shaking because I'm like, I could do it. I could do it right now. I want that feeling. I want that feeling in my wrist to know that I went to bed hungry last night because we gave them bastards in the other room. The ones that split me in half. I had to get sold up on 2 occasions behind them big head bastards because they take after you. And you couldn't give me a raggedy goddamn $1.75 burger that you don't need to be eating no way. What you eating for lunch if you eating 3 burgers for fucking breakfast? And you would have had McDonald's for dinner. Girl.
So we're in agreement, not the asshole for the lady. I'm with you. We agree on this topic. I'm definitely, the only thing I'm going to add to this is that if your children are still hungry after eating their meals, they're probably big enough to start upgrading. Stop underfeeding your child just to save a little money if at McDonald's. That's my only thing. If they've gotten to the point where those Happy Meals are no longer serving them, it's time for them to upgrade.
And number one, how far is the house from the McDonald's? Because why are they eating in my motherfucking car in the first place? Why are they eating in my car?
Yeah.
Why couldn't they wait till they get to the house?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They taking after you. Your raggedy ass. Girl, it made me mad in here tonight. Let's get out of here. My nose running, my eyes itching, my ears itching. Halfway guy, I can't talk. Y'all this raggedy motherfucker. Anyway.
Sign us off.
Girl, thank you all for joining us for another episode of Tea and Kristal's podcast where we don't eat McDonald's burgers for breakfast. In the goddamn waffle maker in the morning. Are you kidding me? Anyway, if you like what you heard, please leave us a 5-star review and a written review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you are listening. If you like what you saw here tonight, me snotting and sneezing, make sure that you like, comment, share, and subscribe on YouTube. If you have any questions, comments, or you would like to share your own story, if y'all want to cuss me out for that man segment, I'm going to defend the men in the comments. I hope y'all know. I'm going to be in there standing 10 toes down behind these absent fathers. Oh, make sure you send all comments and concerns to teaandkristal@gmail.com. That's TEAAND@gmail. I ain't even spell the last part. TEAANDCRYSTAL@gmail.com. Listen, we've been off for 2 weeks.
He's like, they don't know it's just T's Gmail now.
Yeah, this is mine. Just because I'm ready for them to cuss me out. Subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Facebook by searching Tea and Kristal's Podcast. Follow us on TikTok at Tea and Kristal's Podcast and on Instagram at Tea and Kristal's Pod. Kristal, is there anything else you want to say to the people before we get the hell up out of here?
Nope. I hope this little bit of extra long episode makes up for last week's or the week before that last episode. We are back to our regular scheduled programming, so we will see you next week for a new episode.
Ooh.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.